So if you've spent any time online in an online rabbit hole, the chances are 9 times out of 10, you've arrived at a single conclusion: the Illuminati. The internet loves to point the finger at this umbrella term for a nefarious underground secret society that's secretly pulling the strings of the world, populated by the upper echelons of society, families with generational wealth, and of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z. At this point, the word Illuminati is a little derivative though. The Illuminati did exist though, yes, but they seem to take the rap for all cloaked individuals engaged in secret behaviours. This week on Red Room, we're asking the question, do secret societies really run the world? Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Red Room Revisits with me, your host, Jenny. And can I just say, I have loved bringing you down a little rabbit hole every single week for the past 5 weeks. And I absolutely adore reading all your comments on YouTube and seeing you voting over on the polls on Spotify. So make sure to let me know down below what your favorite episode has been so far. And if there's any topics that you're kind of hoping I'm going to cover over the next few weeks, and I might give you some hints if I am. You know, conspiracy theories, they're really only fun, as well as deep dives, if you have someone to discuss them with. That's literally the reason why I started this podcast. So make sure to keep your theories coming in the comments, even if they are totally different to mine or you completely disagree. I really do love to hear it all. So type away and I'll get back to you. This week, though, we're taking a look at the world of secret societies. On my regular weekly episodes of the podcast, we've spoken a lot about these kind of closed-door clubs that on the surface seem to center themselves around tradition and claim to be nothing really more than a big old boys club, kind of like a fraternity of sorts. Many people speculate, however, that the fraternities or organizations are in fact a cover for something more sinister, and that the conversations that happen behind closed doors when these groups meet have a real effect on worldwide events. And who could really blame them for being suspicious about these things? Multiple former US presidents have been members of a wide variety of fraternal societies, as have powerful billionaires and patriarchs of American dynasties like the Rockefellers and the DuPont families. Many secret societies have lavish annual parties where the rich and powerful people, or men, meet. And are we really meant to just think they only discuss golf and whiskey? Who's to say that business and politics are really off the table? Take the Bohemian Grove, for example. We went into detail on this over on the podcast, but to give you a little TLDR, the Bohemian Grove is a 2,700 acre of woodland located in Northern California. And it belongs to a club called the Bohemian Club. This is a strictly all-male club, and the membership includes artists, musicians, and lots of former US presidents, with members like Clint Eastwood, Henry Kissinger, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush Sr. and Jr., Charles Schwab, Mark Twain, and Jack London on their roster. It's kind of mind-boggling to believe that so many powerful people are in the same place for 2 weeks every summer. But they are. What's that about a 2-week vacay, I hear you say? Well, every year the Bohemian Club hosts a lavish and super exclusive 2-week event in the middle of summer every single year. The club's motto is "Weaving spiders come not here," and that implies that outside concerns and business deals are to be left at the door. But do we really believe powerful people of this magnitude aren't going to get some deals done, even if it is kind of off the record, wink, wink, nudge, nudge? One example of a pretty massive and world-altering meeting that took place at the Grove was the Manhattan Project meeting of 1942. And yes, the Manhattan Project. You know, the one that developed the nuclear bomb and that was detonated on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1945? Yeah, that one. The two leading scientists involved in the creation of the atomic bomb attended the meeting at the Grove, Ernest Lawrence and J. Robert Oppenheimer. Also in attendance were presidents of Harvard and Yale, Princeton, and representatives of Standard Oil and the General Electric, and various other military officials who go nameless. It's since gone down in history at the Bohemian Club, but can we really believe that no other big deals are being made here if something so colossal was agreed upon and spoken about off the record kinda all those years ago? This week we're going to discuss 4 secret societies that have lots of famous members, bizarre traditions, top secret entry processes, and could be where the powers that be set aside their differences and make deals and decisions that could change the lives of you and I forever without us even knowing it. Secret Society number 1, Skull and Bones. The Order of the Skull and Bones, also known as the Order, Order 322, or the Brotherhood of Death, how scary, was founded in 1832 at Yale University, and it's one of the most secretive student societies of the world. Yale, as many of us know, is an exclusive place to begin with, educating many future presidents and high-level executives since its founding in 1701. Skull and Bones is as exclusive as they get, only initiating 15 people a year on something that is called Tap Night, which is named due to the selection process. It's called Tap Night for every single society. In relation to Skull and Bones, senior members of the club will approach one of these 15 hopeful members on the shoulder and tap them to let them know they're up for selection. There are said to be fewer than 800 living members at any time of Skull and Bones, and their roster of alumni is quite juicy. We've got John Kerry, who famously ran against George W. Bush in the US presidency of 2004, which must have been kind of awkward because little Georgie, he was also a member 2 years after Kerry was. Frederick Wallace Smith, who went on to found FedEx, was a member. Christopher Taylor Buckley, who was the chief speechwriter of the George H.W. Bush administration, who, you've guessed it, also a member. The former US Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin. William Howard Taft, who served as US President and Supreme Court Chief Justice, one of JFK's closest adversaries, McGeorge Bundy, and the youngest member of Obama's cabinet, Austin Goolsbee. The list truly goes on and on. The magic all happens at the Bones HQ, known as the Tomb. Ooh. Which has long time been rumoured to house the stolen skull of the Apache leader Geronimo. It has a room full of relics apparently, and Geronimo's skull, apparently it held quite high position in there. And in fact, Geronimo's descendants sued, albeit unsuccessfully, in 2009 to get the skull back and turned over to them. But I'm going to guess Skull and Bones had some pretty good lawyers because, as I said, they didn't succeed. In 2001, the New York Observer snuck into the closely guarded initiation ceremony, exposing some of the weird stuff these boys get up to when they think no one's looking, and you can only imagine. The undercover journalist was equipped with night vision video equipment, and they recorded a shocking initiation rite where recruits were berated with sexual insults. None of which I'm allowed repeat here, but let's just say some members were encouraged to receive a plunger in an unconventional hole. They were forced to kneel and kiss a skull, a real skull, as other members watched, and as other members acted out a throat-cutting ritual, whatever the hell that is. Historically, it was rumoured to include sharing the intimate details of one's full sexual history. There are other reports of ceremonies where members are dressed as the devil, dressed as a skeleton and in robes, reciting the club's death mantra. The hangman equals death. The devil equals death. Death equals death. How original. The new initiates are then told they must die to the barbarian world and be reborn in the Elysian company of the Order. Now, while Yale has admitted women since 1969, females were not granted membership into Skull and Bones until 1992, 160 years after the club's founding. So now 15 men and 15 women, respectively, are chosen on Tap Night. I think the author of the New York Observer piece had it right. The way that they described Skull and Bones and how it's set up, honestly, chef's kiss, it nails it. They say, of course, there is more to Skull and Bones than the mystical mumbo-jumbo of its rituals. The rituals are less important than the relationships, the bonds of power and influence that develop between Skull and Bones initiates after they graduate. But the relationships are first forged by the rituals and the fact that the founders of Time Inc., the CIA, as well as several secretaries of state and national security advisors, the men who made the decision to drop the Hiroshima bomb, invade the Bay of Pigs and plunge us into Vietnam, the Tafts, Bundys and the Buckleys and the Harrimans and the Lovitts, all took part in this initiation ritual. This may have something to do with the real-world power of these bonds, the unspoken understanding, the comfort level with the clandestine, the nods and winks with which power is exercised. And I can understand what they mean. I think a lot of college, and especially these Ivy League colleges in the States, are places for rich people's kids to rub shoulders, to make friendships, and to make these bonds so that they can further themselves through nepotism and money in the real world. So although it is fun to kind of laugh at the corniness of groups like Skull and Bones, it's no secret and you can't deny that some sort of power is forged here. Secret Society number 2, the Order of St. Hubertus. So next up, we're talking about the International Order of St. Hubertus, an aristocratic society of hunters found in Austria in the 1600s. Now, their members are knighted on behalf of the King of Spain. The order was founded in 1695, and the society's motto is honouring God by honouring his creatures. How very dear of them. According to the organization's American website, the purpose of the order is the following: to promote sportsmanlike conduct in hunting and fishing, foster good fellowship among sportsmen from all over the world, to teach and preserve sound tradition hunting and fishing customs, to encourage wildlife conservation and to help protect endangered species from extinction, and to promote the concept of hunting and fishing as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Now, although it was founded in Austria in the 1600s, several of the order's first members in the US were high-ranking diplomats and members of the military who served in Austria during or after World War II. Its most active branch currently is, kind of unsurprisingly, where you'd imagine many hunting fanatics live, in the southwest of America, namely Texas. US members dress in white tails before being knighted at Washington's Immaculate Conception Catholic Church. The gentlemen are dubbed with sword before donning forest green capes embroidered with Maltese crosses. Just like the Bohemian Club, this is a boys' club in every sense of the word. No women allowed. So as far as secret societies go, this one isn't as mysterious or macabre as the Skull and Bones or the Bohemian Club, but many speculate that it could just be that, but hiding in plain sight. The news section of the website, which used to include many members' names, was removed a few years ago for unknown reasons. Perhaps it was because the order recently made headlines due to former US Supreme Court Justice Anthony Scalia dying amongst its members. Scalia spent his final hours in 2016 in a Texas lodge that was hosting the order's Grand Master, the Archduke of Austria. Scalia's reps and family denied that he was a member and that he was just there visiting friends, but giving the fraternity's exclusive membership, people kind of became suspicious that they were trying to throw us off the scent. They've been called the Illuminati of the hunting world, but what actually happens at their meetings? Well, apparently it's just mostly shooting, fancy dinners, masked balls, with private matters discussed over cigars and brandy. How very eyes wide shut. But, you know, it does make you wonder, what are these private matters? And the imagination can wander here. Now, Justice Scalia spent, as I said, his last hours with this member of the secret society. So why would his family deny he was a member? And if he wasn't a member, how did he get in? Secret Society number 3, the Freemasons. The Freemasons. Probably the most mysterious of the well-known secret societies, but also the most obvious. They're heavy on their symbolism, and they seem to thrive on the whole open secret of it all. Many speculating that they use and include their various symbols on buildings and even money as a little open joke, a little wink and the nod that the public wouldn't think twice about, but they know who's in on the secret. While Freemasonry is not itself a religion, all members believe in a supreme being or the grand architect of the universe. It also states it is strictly non-political, and that's why you'll find members who you usually wouldn't see hanging out together breaking bread. The central idea of Freemasonry is that it is a singular belief that expands beyond our usual tribalism, uniting people across all nationalities and traditional religions. With headquarters all over the world and close to 6 million members worldwide, this order is secretive but kind of also open. Kind of. The Masons have a complicated relationship with women. Who doesn't? And throughout my research, I really couldn't find a straight answer to, can women be Freemasons? Like, I felt like I was being gaslit by them, if I'm honest. I kid you not. I was mostly told it's complicated. The gist, though, was that there were many female Freemasons throughout the years, with lodges across the world having different rules. The French seem to be a little bit more liberal and lenient, but overall, I don't think women are given the same titles and status as the men. There's a specific lodge called co-Freemasonry that allow both, kind of like co-ed, and there's women-only lodges, but they're both different to the OG Freemasons. Interestingly, in 2018, the Freemasons released something called its gender reassignment policy, stating that women could in fact be full-fledged Masons, but only if they were a man at the time of joining, which means that trans women who have yet to socially and medically transition can join, as well as trans men who have medically and socially transitioned. It's not just easier just to let everyone in. Scholars can trace the Freemasons' roots back to the building of King Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem in 967 BC. The builders were the original stonemasons, and they knew the secrets of the temple. The world's oldest fraternity has of course hosted some of the most famous names in the world, like George Washington, Arthur Conan Doyle, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, Mark Twain, and Mozart. And that's just who we know of. Their units are called Masonic lodges, and they meet 4 times a year where the worshipful master welcomes new members. Masons pass through 3 degrees of knowledge called Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and the Master Mason. They wear lambskin aprons at ceremonies to symbolize purity, and nobody really knows what goes on at these ceremonies, but we can kind of make an educated guess. I like to think that it lies somewhere in between the Simpsons episode where Homer gets invited to be a stonecutter and devil worshipping in the name of Moloch sacrificing blood drinking ceremonies. But to talk seriously for a second, their rituals are top fucking secret. Allegedly, the initiation ritual goes a little something like this. The candidate waits behind a door waiting to be summoned. He's blindfolded and he wears a noose around his neck. His chest is exposed at the left breast, and his left trouser leg is rolled up. Soon the doorkeeper announces that the candidate desires to enter and obtain the privileges of Freemasonry. He's escorted into the lodge, and the guard holds the tip of a dagger against his bare chest. He's asked if he feels anything. Next, the candidate kneels before the head of the lodge, and they engage in a ritualistic question and answer. He's led by the rope to an altar with a Bible or another holy book of his choice, and he stands with his heels together to form a square. He kneels and places his right hand on the Bible, and with his left hand he presses the point of a compass against his chest. He swears to forever conceal and never reveal any of the secret arts parts or points of the hidden mysteries of Masonry. If he breaks that promise, he binds himself to having his throat cut out or his tongue torn out and his body buried in the sands of the sea. The master asks the candidate what he seeks. He replies, the light. The master strikes his gavel and his hood is now removed. He is now a Mason. Now, aside from its famous members and secretive rituals, did you know that the United States is said to be set up based upon the principles of Freemasonry? Many of the founding fathers, like Washington and Franklin, were Freemasons, and many say the principles and foundational teachings of the Freemasons were actualized in the US. Some people even call it a Masonic republic. 2 of the 5 people who drafted the Declaration of Independence were Masons. 40% of the generals fighting in the Revolutionary War were Masons, and 30% of the names signed to the US Constitution were Masons. That's a lot of Masons. Think of the symbols you see on the US dollar and the many bureaucratic buildings across the US. Washington, D.C.'s original layout was confusing to many at first, but when you view it from above, you can see both 5-pointed stars and cascading stars. all Masonic. When George Washington presided over the laying of the cornerstone of the US Capitol building, he engaged in what many interpreted as a Masonic ritual, using Masonic tools. So is it just a secret club set up to help members get ahead in business, or where the real power is held? You can tell me what you think in the comments. I like to think that of all of the secret societies, I would have liked to have been a Freemason. I've seen their headquarters in Ireland here, and it has kind of some lit-ass visuals, like a lot of Egyptian stuff, loads of all-seeing eyes, but I don't know if it's co-ed or not, so I'll have to look it up. Secret Society number 4, the Cicada 3301. Okay, next up, we have a fun one, and finally one that isn't based on old patriarchal structures. In fact, this one is internet based, and I hadn't heard about it before, and likeliness is, unless you are big into puzzle solving or 4chan, some of my incel listeners, maybe you're aware of it, but you might not have ever heard of this. I know I didn't, and when I heard of it, I wish I was involved in this when it started popping off. Not that I would have been able to solve the puzzles. You'll see what I mean when we get into it. Cicada 3301 is not only a rumoured secret society, but an internet mystery, and one of the most elaborate scavenger hunts the internet has ever witnessed. January 4th, 2012, a user on 4chan posts an image to the infamous random board on the site. It read,
"Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There is a message hidden in this image. Find it, and it will lead you on the road to finding us. We look forward to meeting the few who make it all the way through. Good luck. 3301.
Now, 4chan users did what 4chan users do, and they quickly got to work. One user noticed that if you open the image using a text editor, strings of legible text would appear. This text contained a cipher, which is basically a hidden message within an encrypted message, and once solved, contained a link to another image. Again, using more image software, hidden messages were found embedded within this image too, bringing users to a subreddit containing even more hidden messages. This time, puzzle solvers were led to a book, and the book's hidden message led them to a list of numbers that turned out to be a phone number. When it rang, it went straight to this message.
Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final .jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com on the end to find the next step. Good luck. Goodbye.
Now, the next problem was pretty much math-based. It turned out the numbers they were looking for were the original dimensions of the original image. They multiplied these messages with 3301 and input that as a website, and further down the rabbit hole they went. Users were shown a countdown along with a picture of a cicada moth. When the countdown reached 0, a list of coordinates appeared, pointing to 14 locations across 5 different countries all over the world. Users at this point are not only trying to solve a riddle, but they're trying to figure out who the hell is running it and who this group Cicada is. They're clearly highly talented at cryptography, maths, and when locals in proximity to the coordinates ventured out to see what was awaiting them, they realised this group seemed to have resources that go beyond the average troll on 4chan. In each of the 14 locations appeared a poster with a QR code and the cicada image. Users speculated whether this was a recruiting process for the CIA or MI6 or some sort of secret society. So far, the puzzle required a knowledge of number theory, philosophy, and even classical music, an interest in cyberpunk literature and the occult, as well as an understanding of the Mayan numerology. So what was hidden behind the QR code? The code led to an image within a riddle. The riddle led to another book. The book led to a website, only accessible on Tor, which is the browser used to access the dark web. The website was selective, however, only allowing a select group of early arrivals to the next level, or in their own words, we want the best, not the followers. The selected few were then told that this next level must remain secret and no collaboration was allowed with former puzzle solvers. Some did, some didn't. An image was uploaded to the subreddit 1 month later saying that they had found who they were looking for and the hunt was over. Or so they thought. A year later, another image popped up. And if you're wondering whether this could be a copycat, well, the Cicada have already thought of that. They had encrypted all their images with a verification system so that future users could know if it was from the actual cicada or a troll. Again, users were led to images, riddles, books, websites, QR codes, even a piece of music which hid a riddle within its notes. The hunt went on very like the last, and the puzzle went private after a while. The third and so far the final puzzle popped up in 2014. We go on the same journey of an image leading to a book, the book producing a link, except this time Cicada may have left a manifesto. Users were brought to a book called Liber Primus, which seemed to be written by whoever Cicada was or whoever was behind these puzzles. Now rewind to the second puzzle. One of the challenges was to decipher a runic alphabet, which at the time made little sense and kind of led to nowhere, but lo and behold, the book was written entirely in this runic form. The book contained various philosophical ideas. Some feel it's similar to the messages of the occult. The pages also contained multiple clues and codes, one encouraging users to find a page on the deep web, which to this day remains uncovered. There was another musical clue entitled Interconnectedness. In fact, a lot of the pages remain still completely untranslated. Only 19 out of 74 have been successfully translated, and it appears the book has to be completely translated before the puzzle continues. I hope you took a shot every time I say translated. So who is Cicada? Well, unfortunately, we don't know. One user leaked an email allegedly from Cicada after they solved the puzzle, and it gives us an idea as to who this person or organization could be. It said,
"You have all wondered who we are. And so we shall now tell you we are an international group. We have no name, we have no symbol, we have no membership rosters, we do not have a public website, and we do not advertise ourselves. We are a group of individuals who have proven ourselves, much like you have, by completing this recruitment contest, and we are drawn together by common beliefs." A careful reading of the texts used in the contest would have revealed some of these beliefs. That tyranny and oppression of any kind must end, that censorship is wrong, and that privacy is an inalienable right. We are not a hacker group, nor are we a wares group. We do not engage in illegal activity, nor do our members. If you are engaged in illegal activity, we ask that you cease any and all illegal activities or decline membership. At this time we will not ask questions if you decline, however if you lie to us we will find out.
The email, however, did not contain the verification that the images contained, so whether this is really them or not, well, that's kind of another puzzle. Some winners have gone on to speak about what happened after they solved the puzzles, and all their stories are kind of similar. They said they were asked to join, and then they were told by Cicada that they look forward to working together, and a period of silence began, followed by a request for patience, and then nothing. So are Cicada biding their time for the end of the world to bring together some sort of the world's most talented cryptographers to help humanity? Are they an international secret society? Or are they something more sinister? Who knows? Let me know down below which secret society you would most likely join, or if there's a secret society that I haven't covered and you want me to. Guys, that is all for week number 5 of Red Room Revisits. Make sure to subscribe and follow to not miss next week's episode, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.